Hi, I'm Dean Sage.
And I'm Jack Curvin.
And this is Show Me Your Deck,
a podcast where we explore the intersections of oracles and chakras,
using our original decks to create new insights. We are at episode 34.
34.
Feels like a good, round, strong number.
It's 217s, whatever that means.
217.
I love it.
I mean, yeah, primes two times 17. That's a good prime.
Isn't that really the only way it can be broken down? I think so.
I think so. Yeah. So yeah, we are marching along. I was trying to remember what I was doing at 34. I think that's close to the age I met you, if not past the age I met you. Because that's 10 years ago for me. So yeah, I would have already met you.
Yeah, because didn't we start talking in 2012, 2011?
Yeah. So I think when I was 34, we might have actually started, like, that was maybe the first time I think you maybe came up and we worked together and actually like
in person,
produced, work together.
Mm-hmm. The photography sessions and such.
So yeah, that's a good age. It's a good number. I like it.
When was I 34? Oh, 2010. Oh, okay. Well, I was traveling the world.
Yes. Jet setting here and there, the Amalfi Coast. And
I was jet setting.
That's awesome. Well, I think without ado, let's jump into it and get some context.
All right. The tetrahedron.
Oh,
God. You told me to get ready to be called out. So here's deck number 1. The projections. Okay, be gentle with me, my lovelies. 17. I have no idea what that's going to be, but maybe I need to hold on to my wig. Okay, this is in the Manipura cycle. This is yellow, fire, I do, and how it is impacted by air, throat, aqua, I say. Cubic zirconia ain't diamond. Identify your pretenses, achieve your authenticity, become your honest sparkle. Cubic zirconia ain't diamond. Identify your pretenses, achieve your authenticity, become your honest sparkle. She called me out.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, the concept of truth. I'm curious where the diamond came from this, because it's fire and air, right? So fire and air doesn't make diamonds.
No, but remember, this is a projection of whatever the idea is from the more poetic parts.
Okay.
So, out of curiosity, what would that be? So let's just look at what the profession is for number 17 to get a little bit more context here for what is being said. I profess that I do that which I claim and that which I advise.
Okay. So
be
real.
Authenticity.
Be
real. So authenticity. So that's where the diamond and the cubic zirconia came from.
Yes. I remember it triggers a memory. My dad couldn't afford diamonds. We were very, I don't know if we were middle class or not middle class. It's really hard for me to say. Like, I never wanted for things. So I wasn't, I didn't have to worry about food scarcity or not having clothes or shoes. Like, we had all that. It was just very hard to make those ends meet. And, of course I got whatever the cheapest option was. I got whatever was the lowest quality that we could afford. And, one big toy, right? Christmas was one big toy. So like, I don't know if that makes me middle class or what. It didn't feel like it growing up. Like, I compare it to my spouse. My spouse, like we were just talking, they used to get $100 for mowing the front and back lawn at their grandfather's house. I was like, $100 would have been life-changing to me as a kid. Like $100 would have been incredible. And they would do it twice a month. So I mean, like $200 a month. I like that.
Right.
That was an incredible sum. So I don't know what that makes. I don't know what that makes. But the point is that obviously we just couldn't afford a lot of things. So my dad loves giving jewelry to my mom, but he would have to give cubic zirconium because we couldn't afford diamonds. And then I just remember the first time he was able to afford a diamond, and it just kind of sticks in my head. It's like it meant a lot to him, and I think it meant a lot to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I don't know how that memory relates to truth and truth telling.
Well, I suppose the truth here is that he always felt that she was worth diamonds. And as soon as he could give her diamonds, he did.
I think there's a sense of power through the truth, obviously, with these two chakras interacting. The truth is powerful. Did you say something about pretense? Was that in there?
Cubic zirconia ain't diamond. Identify your pretenses. Achieve your authenticity. Become your honest sparkle.
Pretenses is an interesting word. What does that mean to you in this context?
Pretenses?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so... Well, the suggestion is that you identify your pretenses. So, first and foremost, and this has come up in a writing project I was just telling you about, is looking at the parts that you're playing, the masks that you're wearing, why you're wearing them, who you're wearing them for. Are you wearing them for yourself? When do you hide in these pretenses? What are they for? Mm-hmm. So identify what they even are first, because they might serve a purpose. And yet they are still inauthentic. And once it's safe to become so, consider what it would be like to not have to worry about maintaining a pretense.
Actually, I think the image I was having kind of relates directly to this, like the cubic zirconium, the pretense of diamonds, trying to appear. Why are you wearing them, right? Are you trying to appear as though you have wealth and all of that, or are you trying to enjoy what it is, which is the gift that was given?
Right. And if you enjoy intense sparkle and a lot of brilliance, then cubic zirconia are completely fine. They refract light beautifully.
They're beautiful.
Absolutely beautifully.
Yeah.
They are stunning. There's nothing wrong with them. But if you're wearing them and letting people think that they're diamonds because you're worried that they'll know that they're cubic zirconia, then that's a pretense. You're not just enjoying them for their sparkle. You're not just enjoying them for how beautiful they are. You're using them to deflect from some other truth.
Diamonds are an interesting part of this metaphor. I'm stuck on it. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'm stuck on it. We now have the lab generated diamond.
Yep.
And now there's a debate over, are they real diamonds? Does the diamond have to be dug up by pseudo slaves in order to be valuable
right.
and valid?
Right. And in a process that's not only, terrible to human beings, but also bad for the environment. Lab grown gemstones, you don't have to go through all that process of tearing up the earth to get to them and, using people in horrible ways to procure them. So if you look at them under a microscope, they're the same, chemically speaking. They have the same structures. They're, materially the same stuff. But I think part of what people attach to is the idea that this was made within the earth, and it comes from the earth, and it's sacred because it comes from the earth, not necessarily wanting to think about the process of getting it to them and whether or not that is also sacred.
There is something wonderful and interesting about the compression of carbon over millions of years to create this diamond. There is a magical quality to that, and I can see how, as humans, we would have, an attachment to that. It's not something that came from our, goals as a human race. It came from advertising. Like that's the De Beers family started you have to give a diamond in order to show your true love, your true commitment. It has to be through the language of diamonds.
Yes.
So culturally, it's very hard to separate out those things anymore. And I like that, because you're talking about pretenses, you're talking about faces, you're talking about what you present to the world. And I keep going back to the power part of this, right? The soul, or what am I saying? Sacral? No. Which chakra are we in here? What's the third chakra?
Solar plexus.
Solar plexus. Thank you. I could not think of the word. The solar plexus chakra, the seat of action, and fire, which of course, heat over time, compression, diamonds, right? There's connections there. But how are you sharing your sort of core being through your pretense, through your words, through your actions? How are these kind of working together? So that's an interesting context for the reading.
The original profession is a reminder to be aware of when you're sitting in hypocrisy. So I would say that framing this reading today is a reminder that what you say and what you do matter, especially within a context of how you are seen or you project yourself to be an expert on something. The ways in which you have agency and therefore some type of influence. And how are you using that? How are you using your agency and influence going forward through this reading?
I like air being influenced in this context. That's good. That's a very strong core metaphor for this. And heat is, air. Heat is, so the fire of our third chakra creates hot air. It creates a radiative effect, a convection effect. So there is, the idea of hot words. I think we've had this intersection. We talked about hot words. That's not what I'm getting here, but the idea of that radiation of your own core through your voice, through your air, through your connection to the outward appearance of others.
I think that what you're referring to is the inversion of this card. When air is on top and fire's on bottom, that was the hot air balloon. And that one was number 34. We just had a 34. What was happening? Oh, before the reading, you said something about being 30. Oh, 34. Okay.
It's episode 34. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we just pulled card number 17, and the inversion of it is number 34. I profess that I say my words in the spirit of inspiring others to goodness. So that's what you're talking about with hot words, was number 34.
There you go. It's hidden in the numbers. Hidden in the numbers.
It's all there.
All right, so I'm stuck with pretense. I'm stuck with the sharing of the core being with others, the pretenses, the idea of value. I think kind of why do you put on the face that you put on, right? Why do you carry that face for that person? There's all sorts of memes about how neurodivergent people will construct different faces for different friends because they're trying to mask and be acceptable to different people since they don't know how to do it themselves, how to be themselves in a way that is acceptable by those of us that aren't neurospicy. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that we create faces, a lot of ways that we share ourselves that aren't our full selves.
Become your honest sparkle.
I like that. And it goes back to the Cupid Zirconium versus Diamond. They're both lovely. In fact,
So which one's real, and not necessarily which one's real, but which one is true to your intent.
Mm-hmm. What makes a diamond does not necessarily make it worthy or full of worth. It's the meaning that we attach to it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And so, going back to my dad, the cubic zirconium that he was able to afford has great meaning attached to it. It's not a diamond, but it has value and worth because of its intention and where it came from.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's continue. Let's see what the cards have for us today. Actually, one of them just jumped out on its own. So this is number 10 in the major arcana, change. This will change. You can be sure of that.
Well, especially if you're becoming your honest sparkle.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds to me like this is a reminder that in pursuing this authenticity and understanding what it is that is powering your agency and your influence, if you have to adjust, it's not necessarily going to be comfortable, but it can still be done.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're trying to get rid of your pretenses, that means you have to be willing to expose your reality. And that can be scary. But this is what change does. It helps us grow. It takes us to new places so we can be something different. Read the card again.
This will change. You can be sure of that.
Well, and that almost sounds like a threat. It's like, so you either embrace the change or the change will embrace you.
Well, I have in my book, I say there is very little fortune to the wheel's constant turning. It implies that you are free from action because everything is a game of dice. Everything occurs by chance and you can somehow win. The biggest trouble you have is being able to grieve and let go of things. Yet change is not linked to the heart, but the core. Change is not about loss, but power. Change is about becoming, not the end of being. Even calling change rebirth stylizes it as something both grander than it is and also too small by cosmic amounts. Change is the quiet little promise in the blade of grass that was here today and will not be there tomorrow. The power that will rip apart stars and create entire species on distant worlds. Will you?
You will, because change will happen.
What's interesting here, I don't remember. When I write, sometimes I just don't remember it. Mm-hmm. If it's truly deeply good, I don't remember doing it. It just sort of flows out of me. And if I were to believe in muses, I would definitely believe in muses. Just the way that my creativity works. It is something grips me that doesn't feel like me when I'm done. When I'm coming back and reading it. So like when I read that just now, I don't remember writing that. And I linked this card to the core, the third chakra. And here we are on a, a thing. And that's interesting. This is in my system, this is the third eye chakra. And I believe it's where it meets the third chakra. So we have an intersection of third eye and solar plexus.
Yeah. So we have a lot of strong reminder energy right now about the choices that you make, the actions that you take, how they're affecting you, how they're affecting other people. Is it quote unquote authentic? Is it appropriate? Is it healthy? Is it helpful? Mm-hmm. Is it productive?
So we have the context of the pretense, of the sparkle, of the meaning behind the actions, of the presentation, and then we immediately have change. We have a very active, like these are the actions in my system. The third eye is all about action. And then because it goes the archetypes, then the actions, and it's just interesting to have this very powerful, right? This third chakral moment come back to us, just re-emphasizing. And then third eye is, connection to others, connection with the world around us, being able to see through the veil a little bit, being able to see behind the curtain, being able to see the muses. being able to see all of that. And, we were talking about pretense. So the third eye really would be about seeing through the pretense, like seeing the person behind the pretense. So even though, it's Karen presenting you that face, right, which we have all come to hate, what's the person behind that, like behind those negative actions, behind that wall of frustration and pain, right? What's happening deeper within, and can you see through it? I'm stuck on change. I'm very stuck on it in this moment. It's a very powerful moment.
Well, it jumped out of the deck.
It did. That was the thing. Like I didn't even like do my normal pull where I feel the energy of the cards and okay, this one wants to talk. This one was like, I am here.
And I want to articulate that as you are identifying your pretenses, you need to change.
Well, and then this is the Wheel of Fortune card in the tarot deck, which is another one of the cards that I feel has weird meanings to it, and I think sometimes speaks to different philosophies, like ingrained philosophies that don't need to be there anymore. We've talked about The Secret, right? We talked about blab it and grab it type philosophies, and I don't like, and this is probably me personally, I don't like the idea of everything is just chance, right? Everything is, I also don't like the idea that everything's predetermined, right? I mean, both of those are hard stops for me, but the idea that karma or certain things come back around is interesting. But the main thing I think that holds all life together is change. Like we have to change in order to live. Life is change.
Mm-hmm. Even at the most basic level, it's freeing up energy, changing it from stored energy to usable energy.
And the constant flow of that energy through the ecosystem, through the life cycle.
Yep.
It does encompass sort of death and rebirth. Like in Buddhism, it's a circle that we're on. And nirvana is escaping the circle, right? Coming off the circle, and the circle is pain. The pain of life, the pain of change.
Yep, suffering. How do you end suffering? What do you have to change in yourself to stop suffering? What do you have to let go of? What do you have to invest in? What do you have to avoid? What do you have to embrace? And these two cards together are, well, I mean, to me, they sound like a call for some self-reflection, wherein if you're unhappy or unsatisfied with your current situation, okay, take some moments to understand which parts of that are a result of the choices that you are making that don't actually align with what you believe would be good for you.
Well, you had Find Your Sparkle, right? Mm-hmm. That was in there.
And then once you identify some of that, what actions can you take going forward to create change so that you can find yourself in a better situation?
I think there's definitely the sense of maybe too many faces, and they're distracting you from your fire, from your creative self, from your doing self.
Mm-hmm.
And the situations that you've created your pretenses for will change. You're not going to need these masks. So some of them are going to fall away. The key is, where's your sparkle? Where's that sort of thing behind the pretenses? Because the situations that you're in now will change. That's what the card's saying. Where you are now will change. You will be somewhere different. You will be someone different. That's fine. That's good. How do you find your sparkle within the midst of that? And change is very hard. It's what I do for work. I help create change, and people block change. I've got a big change that I'm trying to make, and I've got someone that's blocking it. And it's like every painful step, just trying to get them to come forward with something that is going to happen. It's not going to change. It's not going to go away. That's a hard feeling, right? To be where you are and not want to change, but you can't help it.
Especially if you don't have a guarantee that after the change, you'll end up where you even intend to be anyway. Because we don't like the unknown.
No.
Better the devil you know. So it takes a lot of courage. Number one, to examine yourself to figure out what your pretenses are. That already takes courage. But then it takes even more courage to make a plan for making, adjustments, and then even more courage to actually act on that and trust that you'll end up somewhere better. That's a lot of trust. That's a lot of courage.
And it's not always better. That's the trouble with
better.
Like the circle of life, the circle of pain and suffering from Buddhism. There will be some pain and suffering ahead. There will be downtimes and grief, and being able to overcome that is really hard. When I wrote this book, grief was on my mind a lot, and I think it seeped in to things, because I think in an American Western context, grief is one of the hardest things that we deal with. One of the hardest things is letting go and understanding how to end. Like understanding how to end, how to let things go. How do you let go of pieces of yourself, masks of yourself that you've held on to for so long, that you've identified as part of your personality, but are just pretenses that you created in order to survive and get by. Childhood things coming up in adulthood, realizing that some of the things that you do are directly tied to some of the things that happen. Like, I think for us, and the context that I live and grow up in, that is a very hard thing to do. And so when you come to the idea of the wheel of life and things changing and moving and shuffling and sometimes getting better, sometimes not, it's very hard. It's a very hard concept. I think because it's so hard for us to let go, I think that's why it's so hard for us to change.
Yeah, I mean, what you're talking about, if you cling to something, you're conserving something as it is. You have to let go of it.
I mean, it's where the word conservative comes from, and I think it's why we have the troubles that we have right now, is that resisting change is resisting life. Life has to change to grow. It has to be different. It will be different. It's okay. It's scary, but it's okay.
Yeah.
There will be new things that we discover and new understandings and new ideas, and it's going to change the way that you thought it was when you grew up, and that's all right.
And we need for there to be conservative opinions so that we don't just slide out into, all out chaos. But they're so conservative that you can't get anything done, like nothing at all.
It's a revert. They want to revert. There's a reversion, and that's dangerous in life. Going backwards is dangerous. Moving forward with quality, consistency, and intelligence, that's good. Mm-hmm. Like we aren't just, and as the Wheel of Fortune might say, we're not just thrown to the whims of dice, as I wrote. We're not thrown to the whims of chance. We do have agency, right? We do have our third chakra. We do have power in these things. You can choose how change affects you. You can choose how you encounter it and work with it and try to get the best out of it.
I agree.
I think we're ready for another card.
All right. One of mine or one of yours?
One of yours.
All right, we're going over to the intersections deck. This is my abstract one that looks like flowers. Number 44. Way up high. It's going to be in the crown chakra cycle. Oh, this one came up recently. This is crown, purple, I know, and how it's influenced by root, red, I am.
We can't get away from this one.
I can't get away from 7 and 44 for some reason. Huh. 7 and 44 come up a lot.
Well, seven chakras, 7 is really important to your book. It's important to my book. There's a lot of, that's a good number. It's a very good number. And 44 obviously has those kind of interactions in them as well. All right, so we're reminded about the connection of our bridge, right? Our rainbow bridge, root to crown. We're reminded of alignment. So in the context of change, staying in alignment, right? Staying in synchronicity or vibrational patterns. I don't know how you phrase it. There's you have a way of understanding it for yourself, what this means, but this alignment of our chakral system, this alignment of our chakras can give us stability, right? The root is here. Root is stability, is earth, is grounding. The crown is the connection to the other and being able to be a whole being through this change, through this time that you're in. How do you find that? How do you support that and sustain that? And part of it is letting go of pretense. You have to be your honest self if you're going to really align your chakras. You have to be true to yourself, true to your ideas and your root metaphors and what makes you you. I think there's acceptance here. I'm kind of getting the idea of acceptance, self-acceptance. Find your sparkle.
Yeah, if you are going to make these big changes, especially as they pertain to the ways in which you're going to start becoming more authentic, then you're also going to have to remember to check in with yourself and make sure that you're settling into this new reality in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
So taking a moment to look through all the different parts of your life that are impacted by these changes, that's important. You have to take stock. And that's what helps you come into balance, is understanding your new situation better. So we're being reminded to look at authenticity, to look at the way in which our influence ripples out into the world. We're being reminded that we have to make changes in order to grow as people, but then some self-care here. What is this new reality? Understand it better. Take some time to do some synthesis about all the growth and all the change.
Synthesis is a good word. Synthesis is a very good word.
You have to take these adjustments, whatever they are, and how they now affect your reality, and understand them. And that's what synthesis is taking information. Okay, you identify all this information. What are you going to do with that information? That's the synthesis. Okay, so I've decided that I'm going to start doing this or stop doing that, and that'll make me feel more authentic, and I'm going to make this change. Okay, what are the results? How do you feel now? What's going on around you? What actually happened? What's the result?
I just went to personal training, which obviously I'm looking at a personal trainer, so my mind would go there. But my father is investigating some weight loss things for himself, and I need to investigate options as well. I just had my surgery. I should be getting better with like the pain and the inability to do things. Like I should be able to do things again over the next 6 months as all my nerves in my body heal. And I need to think about health. I just do. I have to consider that. The injury kind of affected me very negatively over the last almost 3 years. So, I jumped immediately to like the idea of health and personal trainer and that kind of thing. And the way that you were speaking right there, like it's such a classic thing to be like, I'm going to change, right? Like I'm going to
change.
Get healthy,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this. And I like that you brought up synthesis, because change never really sticks if you don't rewrite the reality that you're headed into.
And not just for personal training, but really any kind of change, any kind of new habit forming. When you hit plateaus, or when something feels uncomfortable, or when it's difficult, that's when it gets very easy to relapse.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it firsthand. I have all sorts of patterns that I backtrack on. So I'm not violating the admonition in number 17. This is not me not practicing what I preach. I am admitting wholeheartedly that there's all sorts of stuff that I backslide on. I'm just acknowledging that change is difficult. That's why you need the time to self-reflect, both before and after, because to identify the sparkles or the pretenses, you have to do that self-reflection. Then you make all these changes. But then now this card is saying, well, reflect some more. And decide if the changes that you chose are the correct ones. Just because you make a change doesn't mean it's the right one.
That's very much, as I was hearing you speak and I was kind of reacting to it, that's very much what I was hearing is, are you really making authentic choices, or are you continuing to let your pretenses guide your movements? Are you letting an image of yourself that you've created for a purpose to overshadow your authentic self, overshadow the real you? Are you denying your sparkle by trying to force your way into something like, I'm not going to be a model, right? We both know, we understand how the body works. I'm not going to be a gym daddy. That's just never, ever in the cards. Never was, won't be. And letting go of that pretense, I think, is powerful for looking at true health, right? True body composition, things that are important, and getting, things like cholesterol down, right? Like working on things that are impactful to not just the pretense of your body, but the holistic sense of your body.
Well, and it also opens you up to enjoying your body, because there is a lot of self-hatred in wellness and fitness.
Oh, for sure.
So I would make the argument that letting go of any expectations about, whatever in terms of being a model, focusing on the parameters that actually make you feel better is what it was always supposed to be in the first place. But here we are in late stage capitalism and everything has to be monetized. So we're going to turn fitness into a weapon.
Mm-hmm. A product that you can somehow purchase and obtain.
Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that as somebody who works as a personal trainer, that if you approach fitness from the wrong direction, it will no longer be fitness. It will be obsession. It'll be disappointment. It'll be cruelty. It'll be all sorts of stuff, but it won't be fitness.
I have a acquaintance, used to be a friend, some little bit of falling out, but still, it didn't end everything. We just sort of stopped being at the level that we were at. And I'm kind of watching his gym journey because he's documenting it online, and he is a twink, and his body composition is that it's very lithe, very, lean. And I am grateful that he's happy with the things that he's doing. I'm just hoping that he's not aiming beyond what is possible. And I think that's, I have that sense in my mind right now of this alignment, right? The alignment of your chakras is the accessing your true self. You are a physical being and you do have restraints. You do have things that are possible and things that are impossible. And accepting those, I think, is part of aligning your chakras, part of, like you said, enjoying your body, becoming one with yourself as you are, as you can be.
Yeah. One of your cards?
One of my cards. Let's see what we got here. Okay. We have 6 of Storms.
I was summoning 6 of Cups. Is that the same thing?
No, but it's a 6. It's a 6. Yeah.
It's a 6.
Yeah. Swept away by the storms, you are washed free.
Read it again.
Swept away by the storms, you are washed free.
Well, that kind of grows right out of taking that moment to make sure you're aligned.
Mm-hmm. The Six of Swords, which is what this card references, has an idea of like travel to it. Like there's a forward motion. There's the idea of crossing over things. This swords, of course, as I lament every time, are much maligned and filled with grief. But I mean, they deal with the heart chakra, right? So they do deal with joy and grief. Like it's a perplexing double-edged sword. In my system, the idea is that you are washed away. There's a change. So the change card comes back here again. You know, you're washed away by the storm. The things that you had maybe are gone. Maybe some things came with you. Maybe they weren't what you expected them to be. The things that remain may not have been the things that you thought you wanted, but maybe they're the things that you need. And then there's a sense of freedom that kind of comes from this washing, this being swept away, this travel, this change, this new destination, this new place that you find yourself in. There's a freedom to it if you allow yourself to accept it and express it.
Well, this is just, it all flows perfectly from card to card to card, because once you've taken this time to check back in with yourself after, you know, these adjustments and changes, you are in this place to be washed free of worries or cares or consternations, you know, whatever. But by taking the time to check in with yourself, you can figure out what those even are and let go of them and let these waters wash the junk away.
Yeah.
And then what you're left with is the new set of tools that you can use to, you know, perform this better version of yourself, this truer version of yourself, this more authentic version of yourself.
There is a sense of losing the things that you don't need.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're what you wanted, but you don't need them.
Well, hopefully that's what you were getting rid of from the first card in the first place.
Getting free, you know, being washed free.
Mm-hmm. So if hopefully it's mostly the pretenses that got washed away. It's, you know, there's going to be some other stuff too, but hopefully at least it's some of the pretenses. That's the whole point of making this change in the first place.
It's true. I have in my summary here, storms are brutal when you are lashed down and held fast to the earth. Rain will hammer you in torrents and wind will bash you against those things you have tied yourself to. But storms are not evil or full of malice. They are natural and they come and go as they will.
Yeah. But what these cards are doing right now for me, they're almost telling a story about a person who starts in some state where they are dissatisfied for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And they're going through this process of self-reflection and change and experimentation and reorientation and more self-work and then letting go. Mm-hmm. This entire reading so far is a narrative, almost like a how-to.
Well, and the reason that I talked about being lashed down is that some people, when they fear change, right, when they fear things coming that will move them to new places, they sort of tie themselves down to where they are. Mm-hmm. And I liken it to people that sort of stay when the storm comes and
I know.
Try to batten down the hatches.
Mandatory evacuation.
Yeah.
Oh, we're staying. Okay. All right.
You know, there's a real sense of tying yourself to be lashed by the storm, right? The storm is bad, but I was reminded bison turn into the storm, right? They don't run away from it. They turn into it to get through it. And sometimes that's what you have to do. You can't tie yourself down, right? You can't. Every measure that you think is safety and security might be the opposite. When the storm comes, trying to, you know, sandbag yourself in your house may not be the solution for you. It may be time to leave And that's hard to accept.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Are we ready for a fifth card?
We are ready for a fifth card.
One of mine or one of yours?
Let's do yours.
We're going back to deck 1. So start sassy and sassy. Oh, okay. What? 43. We're only stepping down one space. That, if I'm correct, it will be the opening of the crown chakras cycle. Yep, here it is. So this is crown touching crown, purple touching purple, akasha touching akasha. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is how we're going to end today. Are you sure you're ready?
I'm ready.
Perfection is a bully. Broaden your perspective. Look at the details. Decide what matters. Perfection is a bully. Broaden your perspective. Look at the details. Decide what matters. So after all this change and all this transformation and all this process, you don't have to get it exactly right.
No.
Don't worry about that. Just do.
A home is a home, right? If you are unhoused, a home is a home. It doesn't have to be the perfect home. It just needs to be a home. It just needs to keep you safe and warm, fed, bathed, those kind of things. Perfection is a killer.
Well, especially if the expectation when you start the process is that it will equate to or result in or create perfection, then you're still doing it for the wrong reason. When you identify your pretenses, when you adjust your behaviors and make the changes, then check back in with yourself and let go of all the madness and the mess and then expect perfection. That's not what life is. You went through a process, but it doesn't have to end with you being perfect. It doesn't have to end with the result being perfect. Look at what's important. Did you start with something that had to be purged? Okay, great. Is it gone? Well, maybe that's good enough for now.
It's okay to be messy. It's okay for it to be messy after a change. Change doesn't yield a perfect place. Going back to the change that I'm facing at work, it uncovered a lot of things that have nothing to do with the change. And there's a lot of messiness that we've still got to work through. And that's good. Messiness is good because it gives you a sense of other things that need to be changed, other ways to be better. Sometimes in a conservative sense, if you just want things to stay the same way that they always were, you're blind to the mess that's already there, to the things that are already blocking you or confronting you and keeping you from achieving goodness or solace or completeness or resolution. There's things that are blocking you. And so when you end messy, that's okay. That's a great place to be. Now you can look at other changes. You can look at other ways to grow. Messy means that you're not done, and it shows you the path forward. So it's information. It's good information. If you ended perfect, if you ended it with everything right, if everything was happily ever after, you would miss things. That's the reason I have trouble with happily ever after as a concept. There is no such thing. It's just where you choose to end the story. But your story's not over.
Yeah. So there's nothing conservative about this particular reading.
No.
Everything about this reading is inviting you to look at the ways in which you have to evolve with the understanding that it's not evolution into something godlike. It's not evolution into a fitness model on the cover of a magazine. It's not evolution into a billionaire. It's not evolution into any particular type of ideal. It's just growth. Just let it be growth. And through these cycles of growth, as you transform into a better version of yourself across time, you're going to have ups and downs. It's not going to be a linear narrative. Some of these changes will be quite inconvenient and ergo require more change and more self-reflection and more examination of pretenses until you can finally start to really understand what the end goal even is. And it's not to be perfect, it's to be you.
This is a cycle, right? We had the Wheel of Fortune come up. We had change come up. This is a cycle that you continue to go through. And it's one of the hardest things, I think, about living is that you continue to go through the cycle. You continue to come back to lessons and you continue to have to try to learn them. I reject, I have a very good friend. I reject the idea that everyone's here to learn a lesson. And
you mean for Buddhism?
This is a little bit more like it's a way of sort of washing away the bad things that are happening by saying, oh, well, the world just needs to learn. No, we've learned the lesson. I have learned the lesson. I don't need this lesson. This lesson's not for me.
Everybody else needs to learn this lesson.
Yes,
come on, y'all, keep up.
Like, I don't like washing away bad things as saying, oh, well, it's just a lesson. No, this is horrible. This is horrible and unspeakable and unnatural. And I don't believe that, we're suffering simply because we haven't learned enough yet. No, I don't like that idea. I have trouble with that idea. I don't think that's what they're saying. But I think we do, as ourselves, encounter things again and again. And there are obstacles and things that we place in our own way that we need to deal with, that we need to come back to. So this is a cycle, right? This is gonna keep happening, and that's good too, because change is good. Change is life, and it gives us a chance to grow deeper in the spiral. We're not in the same place that we were. We're more concentric. We're coming closer to nirvana, right? We're coming closer to enlightenment and understanding. So we're not in the same place, but we might have to encounter the same things again. But every time we do, we're different for it and we're different to it. We come into it different and we leave it different.
Yeah, I agree.
We have a Patreon where you can go and subscribe and get access to the longer version of our readings, where we kind of talk about how it impacts us personally and what the reading means to us and how we interpreted it as a message for us. So if you'd like access to that and be able to support us as independent creators, we would appreciate that. And you can do that way. You can also go to YouTube, Show Your Deck on YouTube, and you can see the cards that we're talking about from our beautiful decks that we worked very hard to create and make beautiful and wonderful. So you can see those happening, and you can watch the podcast or listen to the podcast there as well. We have our books and our decks are available at showyourdeck.com. So if you'd like to purchase our books or our deck that we've talked about on the show, you can do that at showyourdeck.com. Jack, where can we find you?
I'm at 49 Haiku. So that's the number 4, the number 9, HAIKU. On the internet, I'm at 49haiku.com. And on Instagram, I'm at 49 Haiku.
I am Dean Sage Media. Find me if you dare. Dean Sage Media. Have fun. Our show Instagram is at your deck. And we will say goodbye for now.